Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Thomas Spark. Welcome back to another video. Now, if you guys haven't already seen my VPN tier list 3.0 video, I made a new video explaining the differences going forward here on the channel for my VPN reviews. I changed up things a little bit, adding new requirements for VPNs to have in order to stay up to date for what you guys are looking for in a VPN. And now I want to make a new top 5 VPN video to give you guys my take on what are the top 5 VPNs in the market right now. But as always, it's based on numbers. And unlike most YouTubers out there, or even other websites that list the top 5 VPNs they like, which are just all high commission products that will pay them a lot, my VPN ratings are based on numbers. And let's go ahead and take a look at the numbers, and we can explain exactly which VPN is rated where and why. So guys, as always, if you do want to support these objective number-based reviews, check the links in the description and pinned comment. If you click on those links, you should get the best available discounts, and as a bonus, you'll help support the channel too, because no VPN here is sponsored, and I only make money with your guys' support by you clicking on the links. However, if you don't think I've been helpful in this video and you don't want to support the channel, you don't even have to click on the links and I'll make $0. So guys, let's get into the rating by rating breakdown of which VPNs are my top 5 right now going into the next part of the year. So right now we have TorGuard being number 1. We're going to go through each one of which one is ranked where and what it could improve. So TorGuard ranked number 1, still very strong VPN. Only thing with pricing is that it could have a little bit of a longer refund policy. That said, one good thing TorGuard is doing lately is it has a 7-day free trial, which means you're not going to be charged until after 7 days, so you get a good period of time to try out the service. As always with TorGuard, remember to use code TOMSPARK2022, and that's going to reduce the pricing by 50% permanently, and this goes all year. So anyone who mentions TorGuard doesn't give you any discounts. They're just kind of purposely trying to make it seem more expensive than it actually is. These discounts are very, very good. Other than that though, TorGuard does very well in pricing. In terms of the application, TorGuard still needs to add split tunneling. Apparently on the forums, the team says they are working on it, but it's just taking a while since they do seem to want to do it right. They claim that other VPNs have a lot of issues with split tunneling, and I can't actually say they're that wrong. I've heard a lot of complaints with ExpressVPN's implementation of split tunneling, and even in the past some complaints for WeVPN's implementation too, and maybe even NordVPN. So split tunneling is definitely something you want to get right, or else you're going to end up leaking your IP. So lastly, one new thing that TorGuard could add is open source requirement for their application. They do have a closed source application, and when I asked the team why they did this or if they're interested in doing open source, they said they are interested in it. However, they are worried that it could cause some issues with surveillance agencies or something like that blocking their application. So it's something to think about, and I kind of mentioned that briefly on the channel already too in the past. Next up with TorGuard, the one thing they do need to add is an external no-log audit. This is something that's pretty expensive, and since TorGuard is a smaller to medium-sized VPN, I can see why they haven't done this yet. However, I think more and more VPNs doing this does put a little bit more pressure on TorGuard for the transparency's sake of having an external no-log audit from a third party that's not associated with TorGuard to verify that it does not collect logs for its users and for more transparency overall. That said, TorGuard is a court-proven no-log VPN. They went to court to companies were requesting logs from its users, and TorGuard refused to give away any logs on its users to a movie right troll kind of company trying to get money from all the VPNs. So that's a very strong thing for TorGuard. And if you're like stuck on the no log thing for the no log audit, well, in my opinion, court proven no logs might even be better, but that's not part of the tier list system yet. We'll have to see and keep aware of this situation with other VPNs if they get court proven too, to kind of think if it should be a metric. So overall, TorGuard, those are the small improvements it needs: external no log audit, open source application, split tunneling, and maybe have a more flexible refund policy. Besides that, TorGuard is pretty much the perfect application and VPN in my opinion, with great speeds, great privacy in the back end, and very good streaming compatibility if you do purchase the streaming package. The customer support is also very strong, with under 1 hour response time and responding usually within 24 hours too, so no complaints there. So if you want TorGuard, use code TOMSPARK2022, use the link in the description. Next up, we could talk about Hide.me. Now, Hide.me is a very solid VPN that's been climbing the ranks for some time now. If we're looking at improvements, they could make it a little bit more flexible for people who want a 6-month plan, and they could make it a little bit cheaper for a 1-year plan. However, outside of that, they have a good 2-year plan, good 3-year plan. Refund policy is very good. They have no timers, and overall the pricing plan is pretty good. In terms of the application, they are working on their Linux GUI. I talked to the guy in charge of the company, and he said they're working on the Linux GUI, and that should be coming, maybe sometime this year or next year. They still need to work on dedicated IPs. I don't know if they have interest in adding those, but we do like having those as an option for you guys. And lastly, they still need to open source their application too. So that's something that they could improve. Hide.me also has a pretty good amount of servers supported, but for some reason in the US, I feel like they could use a little bit of a speed boost sometimes. Just a little thing to mention. But outside of that, Hide.me is pretty much perfect. They have an external no-log audit. The privacy policies are really good. They have really good backend privacy, like no trackers on their website. Stream compatibility works fine. Customer support is very solid. So yeah, really just some flexibility in pricing, Linux UI, open source application, and maybe increase speeds a little bit for some certain servers in the United States, and it would be the perfect VPN. Next up, we have WeVPN, a newcomer to the space a little bit. However, by now they've been around for 2 years or so. In terms of pricing, I think WeVPN does it very well. They're very affordably priced, 30-day refund, no deceptive marketing tricks or anything like that. So no complaints in the pricing department at all. In terms of the application, they still need to add dedicated IPs and open source the application. WeVPN also only has around 30 countries supported, so it could put more work into improving its global server network. In terms of the backend stuff, WeVPN is still using Google Analytics. It has some trackers on its website, some trackers on Android, so it could clean those things up in the backend, and they have plans to do so in my latest talks with their development team. Finally, WeVPN could do an external no-log audit from a third-party audit team to further increase the transparency with the company. Other than that though, customer support is very good, streaming compatibility is very solid, and overall, those are my only complaints with WeVPN, and it's a very strong VPN offering. Next up, we have the likes of ProtonVPN. Now, ProtonVPN is a pretty big VPN now, growing at a very fast rate. It was kind of incubated and started kind of by sharing offices with TeslaNet, and there was some controversy there. No doubt it helped bootstrap Proton even faster. Could be one reason why it took off so quickly. It's also a household name of Proton Mail, so that also could be one reason why they have an easy migration of users to it. That said, people really love Proton and don't accept any criticism, but here on the channel, I remain objective. With ProtonVPN, it's an excellent VPN. However, it is an expensive VPN offering. It's more expensive than TorGuard, Hide.me, and WeVPN. There's no 6-month flexibility really in terms of the pricing I'm looking for. 1 year is around $10 more expensive than I would like, and the 3-year plan isn't under $120. That said, they do have a 30-day refund, and overall not that many deceptive marketing tricks. If we're looking at the application, Proton still needs to add browser extensions. I'm not sure why they haven't added those. In one of my reviews a couple of years ago, I did found someone noticed Proton didn't have an extension, and they made kind of like an extension to steal credentials or something like that from ProtonVPN users. It was kind of like malware on the App Store itself, and Proton hadn't even noticed it until I pointed it out to them. So that's definitely concerning at that point, but I would still, they did remove it, which is good, and I would still like to see an actual official extension for ProtonVPN. We also could look at SOC 5 proxy support. They don't support SOC 5 proxy support for torrent users. There are some complaints with the port forwarding being a little bit limited, but I still gave them points for that. And finally, they don't have dedicated IPs for the application. Outside of that though, speeds are no complaints from me. Very good server support worldwide and good speed performance. The privacy policy is perfect. They do have an external no-log audit, which is really nice, and no history of mismanaged data leaks. In terms of customer support, they are a little bit slower than some of the VPNs I just mentioned. However, they should respond in 3 to 24 hours, so they do get 5 points, just not the full 10. Streaming compatibility has no complaints from me whatsoever, and it's a decent streaming VPN too. So overall, ProtonVPN is an excellent option, especially if you value open source application and the external no-log audit. That said, for those things, you're going to be paying a little bit more, and the application might be missing some things like the extension and stock-side proxy support. So keep that in mind, and that customer support is a little bit slower. But overall, a very good VPN too. Click the link in the description down below to get the best deal going on now with Proton. Next up on the list, we could talk about NordVPN. NordVPN is definitely probably the biggest VPN, and they're a marketing behemoth, and they just have kind of taken over the world. That said, NordVPN still has a lot of work to do, in my opinion, to become the perfect VPN. Some things are, they use a lot of deceptive marketing tricks, in my opinion, on their website, like fake countdown timers, price increases, and they don't have that many simultaneous connections compared to some of the VPNs I mentioned previously. Also, they are a little bit expensive. In terms of the application, they still need to develop a Linux UI and add port forwarding, and they don't have an open source application unlike Proton. In terms of the privacy policy, they do really badly. They do have a small history of some former data leaks or server breaches. However, after that, they did get an external no-log audit, proving they don't collect logs or anything like that. So at least they have good intentions. In terms of open source analytics, they still use Google Analytics, so they could improve that. They do have trackers on their website and Android too, so there's still some cleaning to do in the back end for privacy reasons. In terms of the customer support, they're pretty responsive and helpful. And streaming, it's actually one of the best streaming VPNs too, since in combination with the large server network and great speeds, it's a really good unblockable VPN for streaming. It also gives good results in very niche regions. So NordVPN is definitely one of the best streaming VPN providers, and overall not a bad VPN, but for how popular it is, I kind of wish they would improve it a little bit quicker, in my opinion. Another thing is they still don't have dark mode in 2022, which is kind of mind-boggling. Once again, click on the link in the description for NordVPN's best ongoing deal. Anyways, guys, those are my thoughts on the best VPNs right now with the criticisms for each one. Anyways, guys, those are my thoughts here on each one of these VPNs that I rank the highest right now. Click the links in the description and pin comment to help support the channel on these kind of reviews, and I'll see you again very soon.